Hey everybody, welcome back to Brent's Backyard Redneckery. I was going through my grandmother's old recipes the other day and I came across one that said chocolate Coca-Cola cake. Yes, not Coca-Cola, not Coke, Coca-Cola. That's the way she spoke. East Tennessee, I don't hate her for it. But anyway, I came across this recipe and I gave it a try. It was so freaking good, I decided that my family wanted me to make it again. Well, they decided, not I decided. So today I'm going to take all my ingredients, show you what we got, and then we're going to make us a chocolate Coca-Cola cake. So get ready. I'll tell you what we need to do. Let's get started. So these are all the ingredients that we use for our chocolate Coca-Cola cake. We got buttermilk, Coke, unsweetened cocoa, vanilla, butter, eggs, flour, sugar, powdered sugar. Let's go ahead and make our first step and show you how the magic begins. So our first step, we're going to set this to 350. Get it started, let that preheat, and get rolling. We're going to take our sift, going to dump it in. We're just going to sift it all through there. Get as much out as you can. Kind of beat it on the side. Finish tapping it out. Then we're going to put in a second cup. And we're going to do the same thing for that. Sift it all through. Beat it out on the sides. Get it all done. Now what we're going to do is grab our sugar. We're going to put in 2 cups of sugar as well. So there's one, and then a second one, and we'll move on to the cocoa part. We're going to put 3 nice round, well, sort of round, tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa in here. Once we got that in there, we're going to get our whisk, mix that all together. And we want to just make sure that this is nice and fully incorporated whenever we get everything put together. So it'll be like a nice light brown color whenever we're done. Those little chunks of sugar in there. Don't need that. Okay. Once you've got it all incorporated like that, we're going to melt our first 2 sticks of butter in the microwave and add that in there. You can melt your butter however you'd like. Stick the whole stick in there. Chop it up into pieces like so. I found it goes just slightly quicker doing it this way. So instead of taking, say, 2.5 minutes, it only takes a little over a minute to get it melted. Once this is melted, grab that bowl that has our mixture in it. I'm going to pop that onto the mixing stand and add the butter that way, because it'll mix in a whole lot better with me doing it using my mixer rather than doing it by hand. It'll combine all the ingredients a lot more efficiently. So let me get this melted up and we'll get that started. All right, so I've got all my butter nice and melted up. I'm going to pour it in this bowl here. I'm going to add my mixer attachments. Mix that up until it's thoroughly incorporated. All right. I'm gonna put this on a semi-low speed here. Get all this in there. I'll get the rest of that little bit of butter while I'm at it. I'm gonna get my spatula to scrape these sides down. And we've still got to add our vanilla and our buttermilk and the Coca-Cola before we're ready to get this in the pan. Plus that'll help moisten it up just a little bit more. So far you can tell this turned into a nice, beautiful chocolate. So let me get that stuff measured out and add it in. We're going to put in 1/2 cup of buttermilk. All right. I'm going to put in vanilla. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon. And then we're going to put in 6 tablespoons of Coca-Cola. There's our vanilla. And then 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think next time I make this, I'm going to use Mexican Coke, since it has real sugar in it. Now we're going to go ahead and get this mixed back up. On a low speed there, so we'll make a big, huge mess. Oh yeah, much better. I'll get this, finish getting this mixed up. We'll move on to pouring it in a pan and getting it in the oven. You know, it's a good thing I looked before I did that because I forgot these. 2 eggs. Well, that would have been a little bit disappointing now, wouldn't it? All right, now let me get those mixed in. You know, I bet those of you who've made more than one cake in your life have looked at that and went, man, that looks like it's missing something. And then I finally realized that my eggs weren't in there. Now that's more like cake rather than brownie. I know you're not supposed to lick the beater because of raw eggs, but it had to have a taste, and man, that's good. All right, so what we'll do now is get our cake poured into this 13 by 9. And we're going to cook this for between 25 and 30 minutes. So I'll probably test it right around 20 minutes to make sure that it hasn't gotten done all the way. I'm not sure what the difference is between a metal and glass pan. There's nothing in the instructions about greasing the pan. So we're going with just straight into it and straight into the oven. So I got this all ready. Nice and smoothed out there in our corners everywhere. Let's pop this in the oven for 20-ish minutes. We'll check it for doneness and see how that turns out. While that's cooking, you can go ahead and get your icing ready. We're going to melt 1 cup of butter, and then we've got a 1/4 cup of Coca-Cola and 1 teaspoon of vanilla in there. So we'll go ahead and add our vanilla and Coca-Cola in there. We'll just mix that up a little bit with the whisk. After that, we're going to take 3 tablespoons of cocoa unsweetened, drop that in there and mix it in. Once this is mixed up, we're going to use the hand mixer to mix in 1 pound of powdered sugar. There's no way I really want to mix that up by hand. I'll probably start by mixing it up by hand, but to get it smooth enough, I'm going to beat it with my hand mixer to get it completely smooth. So far, that's what we're looking at. Got all that on the sides, but we'll get that off once we get it mixed up. So now I'm going to weigh out my sugar. Get ready to put that in there and start whipping it up. All right, so it looks like 1 pound is roughly 4 cups. We're just going to slowly start putting this in, mixing it a little bit with our whisk. And as it blends, we'll get the hand mixer to finish it up. But I think for a little bit of it, we'll be able to do it this way. I just hate messing with powdered sugar in a mixer because it tends to make a big poof every time something goes on. But you can't get it quite, you know, it's just not good enough mixed by a whisk. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this put in there and get that mixed in. So that's about as good as I can get it with a whisk. So we're going to go hand mixer style. As you can tell, that's turning into a much better looking icing. So I'm going to finish scraping this down and mixing it all together, and the cake's about ready to come out. All right, it's been 20 minutes. Let's pull this out and see if we're done in the middle. It sure doesn't look like it. No way. All right, let's let that go another 5 minutes. Look, by the looks of things, we'll check it again. All right, we're at the 4-minute mark. Ugh, still gooey. I guess the 25 to 30 wasn't lying. See how close we are. It's less jiggly, so we might be there. Oh, about a minute and a half to go. So right at 28 and a half minutes, I'd say. So now that it's finished, 29 minutes in and out, I'm going to stick it in the fridge for 30 minutes, let it cool down, and then put the icing on, because otherwise the icing, last time I did it, puddled in the corners because of how hot this was. All right, so we got that in there for 25 minutes in the fridge, let it cool down. Then we'll just get our icing and put it on here. And kind of can't tell it's even on there, really. Same color as the freaking cake. All right, well, that's okay. It tastes wonderful. So I'll just get this finished up here, show you how it looks when it's all done. So there's the chocolate Coca-Cola cake with the icing on there. It's about that thick. And this really, it's actually a better tasting cake, I think, when it's cold. So I'm going to put it back in the fridge and then serve it up in a little bit. All right, that wraps up yet another episode of Brent's Backyard Redneckery. So the chocolate Coca-Cola cake is probably one of the best chocolate cakes, in my opinion, that I've ever eaten. I'm not a huge fan of cake. This one is definitely very heavy and very sweet.